Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brooke. I'm brookeworksout on Instagram and TikTok. And for this week's vlog, I thought I would sit down and talk about my fitness journey with you guys, go in depth on where I've been, what I've overcome, and a few tips that have really helped me and things that I wish I knew as a beginner in the gym. Background on me, I'm turning 27 in a month. I've been prepping myself saying that I'm already 27, so I'm just kind of like already used to saying that. But I'm turning 27 in a month. I'm born and raised in California, and I grew up in an absolutely amazing family. I am very, very blessed, and I grew up in not necessarily a non-active family. Both of my parents were somewhat into the gym in their younger years. My parents had me a bit later, I would say, like in their mid-30s. So I always laugh and say my siblings, who are 13 and 16 years older than me, got the young fun dad in his 20s because my dad was 19 having kids, and then I got the old retired dad because my dad was 35 when he had me. So their activities were like going out on the lake, going skiing. I don't really know if they did anything in the snow. Going to Glamis and going to the desert and riding dirt bikes. And my dad that I got was like going camping and sitting and like wanting to do not nothing, but like relaxing more on the vacations that we went to. So nonetheless, my dad was like still very active. I would say my mom, when I was a kid, was like a bit of a yo-yo-ish dieter. I remember like she would kind of go on Jenny Craig here and there, but I was a very picky kid growing up. I never liked vegetables, and I was an only child. So I was an only child in the sense where my siblings were already like kind of grown and out of the house by the time I was growing up. Mind you, they're my half siblings, so we share a dad, not a mom, and so they were at their mom's house half the time. So anyways, I was a very picky eater. I did not like to eat vegetables, and I didn't really play a lot of sports growing up. I feel like I only say this as a part of my fitness journey because I know a lot of people maybe like play sports growing up, and then once they graduate high school, it's just kind of an automatic that they go into the gym whether they continue their sport or not. I danced in high school, but it was once a week. And I remember thinking, that is enough. An hour or two a week of a workout, a dance class, that is enough for me. And I love food. I would definitely say I came out of being picky to loving food and branching out. I love sushi. I would say like my favorites in high school, which in high school I was fairly thin until my last 2 years. I gained about 40 pounds, and I was just going through a lot in my life at that time. My parents were going through a divorce, and I also got into a relationship, so I feel like I was packing on the pounds and I was eating well. But I love to eat like Jersey Mike's. Like I would eat a giant Jersey Mike's sub in one sitting by myself. I love sushi. I love Chipotle. I love mac and cheese. Like those, and like top ramen. Those were my go-to food groups. I am going to talk a little bit about my journey, I suppose, with ED. So I just want to put a little disclaimer, trigger warning. If you are somebody who is currently dealing with an ED, I am going to bring it up in this, so I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or I know that some people can be a bit sensitive to it. So if you're going through that, I'm giving you a big hug, and you can skip over this if you need to. Anyways, in high school, loved food, gained a little bit of weight, and to be honest with you, I was going through so much at the time mentally. I would say I was going through a lot at home, but my relationship that I was in at the time was the best thing that I remember from that time. And in that relationship, my boyfriend at the time, his mom, was a literal walking goddess. And she still is. She's perfect, and she is one of my biggest inspirations and has still been one of my biggest inspirations in my fitness journey. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would carry myself the way that I do in certain things, and I definitely wouldn't be in the gym. So I started kind of dabbling into the gym with her. I remember she would meal prep and she would go to the gym at like 5 a.m. and I would kind of start going to the gym at 5 a.m. with her. But I really didn't know what I was doing, and once I was no longer with that boyfriend, I kind of started doing my own thing. So I wasn't really going to the gym with her as often, and this is kind of where things got a bit rocky. So I didn't know what to do in the gym. I didn't know what to eat. I knew that eating less equaled fat loss, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna do cardio because I have no idea how to work weights. I only knew a couple machines at the time, but there was no way that I was gonna go to a squat rack or to the dumbbell rack. That was a complete foreign area for me, and somewhere where I felt very, very uncomfortable being, especially as a girl in an LA fitness environment. The driving factor that got me to be into the gym in the first place was how I looked in the mirror. I was very insecure with my body. I would cry in dressing rooms. My bathroom was kind of like a Jack and Jill, but then I had like my toilet and shower, and it's like own separate area, and then you would come out to like the mirror with the sinks, and I would always put my clothes in the shower with me and get into my pajamas like right after I got out of the shower, get into my clothes, so that I didn't have to go and look at myself in the mirror to then put clothes on in the mirror. I felt so uncomfortable in my skin. I wanted to jump out of my skin, and I felt so out of control of my body, and I had no idea where to start. So probably like most girls who are 18, 19 years old, I started not eating a lot and doing endless hours of cardio. Obviously, disclaimer, I do not promote or suggest anybody do this, and there is a more sustainable, balanced, easier way to go about weight loss than being restrictive and depriving yourself of the foods that you love, which if I knew then what I know now, I would have done it so much differently. But this is my journey and my story to tell you guys, and so that you guys don't make the same mistakes as I do, or as I did. So when I was around 18, 19, I lost about 40 to 50 pounds. So I lost the weight that I had put on, and I was so fixated on being 120 pounds. I wanted to be 120. That was the number that I wanted to see on the scale, and it didn't matter to me what I looked like. I just wanted that number more than how I felt or how I looked in my clothes. It was about this number. And I got down to 120, and there were a few key moments that I remember of this time in my life. Number one, I remember I would go basically the entire day without a meal. And I went with my coworkers to a soccer center, and it was at night. I hadn't eaten all day. I basically fainted and fell straight back on my head, woke up on the floor, don't even remember fainting or falling back. But because I hadn't eaten anything, my body was like, girl, what are you doing to me? So that was one time that I remember. The second time that I remember feeling sick or feeling the repercussions of not fueling my body properly was I remember the night before I went and got In-N-Out, and I just ate as much as I could. The next day I went to run these stairs by my house, and I got back from the stairs and threw up in my driveway because I was just, and it wasn't a forced, but I wasn't taking care of my body the way that I should have, and I was creating a very toxic relationship with food. I also started to hide food from my dad and stepmom because I didn't want people to see what I was eating or how much or how little I was eating. So I would say that I didn't have dinner and I would have Chipotle in my backpack and I would take it upstairs with me and then I would eat. And my dad wonders why he finds so many forks and old Tupperwares in my room. That was why, because I would hide my food from my parents and I didn't want to go downstairs and wash a Tupperware and be asked like, oh, what did you eat? I was 20. I went on a trip to Seattle to visit my best friend at the time, and I had just really hit my goal number of 120 pounds. I was very small, but I still had fat on my body and I had no muscle tone. I didn't have that curve that I wanted. I was still very bloated, still had fat around my stomach, which was always been my most insecure area of my body. And anyways, I went on this trip and I remember I ate everything in sight on this trip. I would eat an ice cream, and if my friend didn't finish hers, I would eat it for her. I didn't want there to be anything left because I felt, oh my gosh, I don't know when I'm gonna get Ben & Jerry's ice cream again. I have to eat it all right now, or whatever it was, whatever we were eating. But like, I would go to lunch and have something, and then I would eat 2 ice creams and 2 donuts, and I would just stuff myself. I ended up gaining 15 pounds back just in a week from that trip. And I remember coming to a point where I thought, okay, I can go back down to eating little calories again after my trip. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know if this is gonna work. And I was crying to my parents at one point saying, I've lost all this weight, I'm 120 pounds, but I don't have the body that I want and I'm not happy and I'm starving. And they're not nutritionists. They didn't give me the best advice, love them, but I had to do my own research and I had to want it bad enough for myself. And I think most people at this point would just give up and maybe gain all of the weight back and create this vicious cycle. But I knew that there had to be something more out there, and that's when I found Whitney Simmons, I found Buff Bunny, Heidi, and there was one more person. Nikki Blackketter. But anyways, I found these people and they were lifting weights, or these girls, and they were lifting weights. And I remember seeing the video of Heidi and her abs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, that's what I want to look like. That's the body that I want. I want to have muscle tone. I want to look feminine, but I want to have curve, and I want to have a nice butt, and I want to have abs and nice toned arms. And I didn't know how to get there, so I picked up this book that I will put on the screen and I will link it down below. And my brother also kind of helped me realize, like, hey, you're probably eating under your RMR or your BMR, which is your resting metabolic rate. Your body needs much more food than that, and your body can eat more food than that and you can still lose weight, you can still see results, and you can have sustainable, healthy weight loss. So I started doing my research. I believe I was 20. That's a long time ago. I was 20 years old. I started doing my research. I was like, okay, I am going to do a reverse diet and I am going to do basically a bulk. So I think it took about 6 to 9 months to do a full reverse diet. I slowly added calories back in so that I wasn't gaining a ton of fat, but I definitely gained a decent amount of muscle very quickly. I would say I gained a good amount of muscle in my glutes, in my legs. I didn't have like my perfect dream body yet, but I was on my way to building it. And I would say right before, a few months before my 21st birthday is when I really felt like, okay, I did this bulk, I felt really good, so then I started a cut. And the only reason why I did it this way is because I did it wrong in the beginning. I started to do a little cut, and that's kind of basically how I really started building my physique. And I would say every year after that, I have only gotten better, but there's definitely been ups and downs. My fitness journey hasn't been just linear. It goes like this, and you learn more every year. So basically, once I realized that I could eat more food, that food was fuel for my body, and food was fuel for my workouts to build the body that I wanted to, and it didn't have to be depriving myself or this really hard thing that you feel you can't have these foods. It was like an entirely new world for me. I wanted to become a trainer to help girls who were also in that similar situation feel that they can do this, and lifting weights isn't going to make you this bulky man Arnold or make you fat or whatever the fitness industry tacks on weightlifting for women and makes it this word that I can't think of. Anyways, I took a little course, had an in-person workshop, and took my test, and I failed. I was so bummed. I was working at a car dealership at the time, and I just thought, that's it, like, fitness isn't for me, I'm not gonna do this. If only I could see myself now. That's just crazy, but I ended up meeting my now boyfriend, and I remember just wanting to impress him so bad, and he knew that I would get up every morning at 5 a.m. to go do my cardio, and then after work I would lift. Which, mind you, the one thing that kept me motivated while I was working a 9 to 5 to go to the gym was to, first of all, go to the gym in the morning, be on top of the world when I was done, and I had already conquered so much more than the average person by the time I got to work at 7 a.m. Then I could be like, oh yeah, I went to the gym this morning. What did you guys do? Sleep. I wanted to be that overachiever. I wanted to compete with people regardless, even if they weren't competing with me. It was a mindset thing to help me get better. And I loved bringing my lunchbox, my gallon jug, my gym bag, my shoes, like whatever with me, because I wanted the attention. I wanted people to be like, oh, Brooke's going to the gym. Which, I mean, we all want attention. There's nothing bad about that. All of us want attention. That's literally programmed in the human mind, is we like attention. When I would tell my boyfriend, like, oh, you know, I go to the gym at 5 a.m. he would message me like, hey, did you go to the gym today? So it was kind of like this accountability thing. And I didn't tell anybody that I took my test and I failed. I told him. And I said, yeah, but I don't think I'm going to do it. And he ended up saying, nope, we're gonna study for it and you're gonna do it. He was just as much into the gym as I was, and it was nice to like find somebody who was that dedicated, and that was the push that I needed. So I took my test and I passed, and that was probably like 6 or 7 months later. Like I said, I didn't think that I was going to continue into the fitness industry. So the second I passed, the following week, I literally ran to the F45 that was in my area, and I like knocked down the door, and I'm like, I gotta train all your classes. I want to work here. So little did I know that was kind of what was going to end up being a very big shit show, because the owner was leaving. It was a failing business and it was going into the hands of corporate. So it was a blessing and a curse, because I got to train all of their classes, all of their afternoon classes. I was working a 9 to 5 and then coaching 4 classes, I think, every night, and I wasn't getting home. I was leaving in the morning, going to the gym in the morning at 4 a.m. and I wasn't getting home from work until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I still had to work out again. So I was hustling to be a trainer. And it ends up, which if you're watching this and you're looking to be a trainer, every job is gonna try, like every gym job is gonna try to put you in sales first. That is what I have learned, especially big box gyms. They just kind of want to put you in a sales position before you're in a training position. Might be different areas, but that's my experience. And I basically became manager of this gym, and I had no experience, but they were like, hey, we'll put you in the management role, which was sales essentially. So I had a head trainer who I love her, love her, love her, love her to death, Robin, and I was a manager. So we did that up until 2020, and basically when I worked at F45, my personal experience when I first started, I kind of quit weightlifting and I was just doing F45, which if you're unfamiliar with F45, it is a functional 45-minute workout that is cardio exercises and resistance weight training exercises combined. When I first started, it worked really well for me. I lost a lot of body fat and I was very small, but then to a point it just kind of stopped working for me. I think I was very inconsistent. I think I started eating a little bit more and I wasn't really focused on eating in the way that I was prior. I also moved at that point from living at home with my parents to my boyfriend, and so it was a lot. It was a lot of transition and change. Anyways, from this point, which is the picture that you're gonna see here, this was 2019. So I was doing F45 inconsistently. I was weight training inconsistently. And this is where I was at a point where I've kind of felt if I lift heavy, I got bulky. And it wasn't necessarily what people were feeding me or the information that was being fed to me. It was how I felt that I looked. I felt if I have big quads, so if I train my quads, they're only going to get bigger. Or I have big shoulders. If I train my shoulders and my arms, they're only going to get bigger. So that was kind of my mindset around the gym at this time. And in this picture, I was only training my legs and my abs. Literally that was it, but it wasn't even just my legs, it was glutes and hamstrings specifically. I was not training any other muscle besides that, maybe shoulders a little bit, but I was very inconsistent with it. So I was weightlifting, but I was not consistent, and I was still very fearful of, am I doing something that is going to give me the results that I want? 2020 happens, we are in lockdown, we're doing at-home workouts, and I gained about 15 pounds, which I think most everybody gained 15 pounds. Anyways, I decided to start getting a bit more consistent in the gym. I was doing a bit more cardio, I lost the weight, and the thing that I did different this time that really helped me was instead of restricting the foods that I love, I portion controlled. I still had pasta, I still had tacos, I still had a breakfast burrito, but I would try to make them slightly healthier options. So whether that was a higher fiber, carb controlled tortilla or protein pasta and having just a serving size of it, measuring out all of my food. And it was mainly to make sure I'm getting enough protein and that I'm eating in a portion. So if I was going to have a sauce, like if you're gonna have ketchup, I was measuring out 2 tablespoons or however much a serving size is. And that really helped me be able to eat the foods that I love, not feel deprived or restricted, and still see results. And that's when I got to here. And then we enter my TikTok era. And I started to lift a bit heavier. I started to become more consistent with my workout routine, and I started wearing my graphic tees, and I went viral wearing my graphic tees. So that is my start of here and where I am, and where I am. And did I say that right? I don't know. But ever since, I have been focusing on progressive overload, lifting heavier, time under tension, so slowing down my reps, making sure that my form is good and that I'm not going to hurt myself, and incorporating cardio depending on what my goal is, anywhere from 2 to 4 times a week. Overall, if I could give you one piece of advice when it comes to your fitness journey and what I've learned, is your journey is going to be up and down. When you think that you know everything, you don't, because there's something that's always going to change. And I think what changes is you and your mindset, your goals, or your schedule, your job, your dynamic, your life dynamic is always going to be changing and evolving and growing. And your fitness journey is going to change with it. Your goals are going to change with that, and what you do to get there is going to change with that. So don't ever feel discouraged when something isn't working for you. If something's not working for you, it works for you in a sense that you realize, okay, I need to try something new, something better, something more realistic and more attainable for me. And it's just going to push you to trial and error and find a better alternative that works for you. That is my summed up fitness journey. I guess I really should speak on where I am now. I love my body. I've learned to love my legs even though they're bigger. I don't care to have a thigh gap like I did when I was 15 years old. I have a balanced workout routine. I love training my arms. I feel that I finally achieved the toned arm look by lifting weights and not being afraid to lift weights. I love pushing myself in the gym. I love bettering myself every single day. I love to challenge myself to eat a bit healthier, drink enough water, really take care of my body, and it really has been a celebration of what I'm capable of, because I never in a million years thought that I would be capable of this. And every workout feels so rewarding that I'm building my physique. I didn't just get handed this. I wasn't just born perfect. I worked hard for it, and I worked hard to be here, and I will continue to work hard every single day to prove myself, to prove what I'm capable of and how strong I am, and you should too. Tips for beginners. Start out realistic and what works with your schedule. The gym and eating healthy isn't going to work for you unless you make it work with what you already have going on. So when you're starting to get into the gym and eating differently, we're not quitting our job, we're not quitting our, we're not quitting being a mom or whatever it is, wherever you're at in your life, you're not quitting the schedule that you already have. You're adding in something else into your schedule, and that's what makes it seem difficult. You do not have to work out 7 days a week. Rest is actually so important for your body, and it's so much, I can't even put the words together. It is needed so much more than you think it is. Number 2, food is fuel for your body. It takes a heck of a lot of calories to gain weight, much more than we think. And it's obviously very easy to hit that number when you're eating fast food and fried food and junk food all the time. But if you're eating healthy, you can eat a decent amount of food. You don't have to deprive yourself and eat little to nothing. And when your body is hungry and you feel hunger pains, that's your body saying, hi, I need food, feed me. Especially if you're gonna work out. You need to be making sure that you're eating enough food and staying hydrated. When it comes to food and my mindset around food and how it's changed, I look at food now as 3 main categories. My number 1 category is the healthiest of the healthy foods. So lean meats like chicken, fish, shrimp, lean beef, fruits, vegetables, whole grain, high fiber, beans, potatoes, complex carbohydrates, healthy fats. Those are the foods that I'm going to prioritize the most in my meals. So when I go to make a dinner, these are the foods that I'm choosing from first to make sure I have the majority of that in my meal. My second category of food is this isn't the best for me, but it's definitely not the worst for me. And what I mean by that is a carb-controlled tortilla. Somebody might say it's the worst of the worst, or a Coke Zero, or a piece of chocolate. It's not the most health conscious, but it's definitely not the worst. And these are foods that I have in my diet basically to keep me sane. So if I'm gonna make tacos one night and I want a burrito, I'm gonna use those carb controlled tortillas versus maybe a heavier or bigger or higher calorie tortilla, and I'm satisfied. And I'm going to incorporate it into my meals and sprinkle it in here and there to keep me sane. And then my third category is the worst of the worst foods: junk food, fried food, fast food, baked goods, sweets, pizza, ice cream, cookies, soda, high sugary frozen meals, that sort of thing. I don't cut these foods out completely, but I have them in moderation. And if I crave them, I have them when I crave them if I can't make the healthier version of them. So if I'm craving pizza one night during the week, I might make a healthier version of a pizza that tastes just as good. But say on the weekends I'm craving Popeyes, I'm gonna go and get Popeyes and I'm not gonna feel guilty for it. Tip number 3, intention is everything when it comes to working out, when it comes to food, when it comes to rest days, when it comes to burnouts, when it comes to cheat meals. If you intend on doing something, you won't feel guilty for it. I know a lot of us feel food guilt, a lot of us feel burnout guilt because we push ourselves so hard. We have this all or nothing mindset. I'm gonna eat the healthiest, I'm gonna train hard, and then I'm burnt out and all I want is McDonald's. And then I feel guilty. And then I continue this vicious cycle of feeling guilty and then depriving myself and getting back to these hard workouts because it's a punishment. The gym and exercise is a celebration of what your body is capable of. It is not a punishment for something that you ate. And food is fuel for your body, like I said. You can have your cake and eat it too, right? So you can have the healthy foods and the workouts, but you can also have the rest days and the cheat meals, and it's all about a balance. If you intend on taking a rest week, a busy time in your life is coming up, you have in-laws coming over, or you have graduation, you have a trip that you're going on, whatever it is, intend that this time that you might not maybe be able to make it to the gym, or maybe you've been working out for a month straight, maybe that week 5 or that busy time, you take a couple days off intentionally. What this does is, instead of saying to the mind, oh, I'm so tired, I'm burnt out, I don't want to go to the gym, I'm not motivated, I'm not going to the gym today. Oh, now I feel guilty. You're telling your mind, I'm intending on taking this rest period because my body needs rest and recovery to be the best version of me, and rest is okay, and the gym is going to be there when I get back, and I'm not going to lose all of my progress. When you intend on saying that versus going all or nothing and 100 miles an hour and then burning out, you feel a lot better and a lot less guilty about the intentional way that you speak about rest and recovery. When it comes to starting to eat healthy and taking things out of your diet or incorporating healthier options, not knowing what to eat, focus on making sure you're getting enough protein and vegetables in each meal. So like I said, with my 3 categories, if you prioritize protein and vegetables or fruit, whatever, depending on the meal, first, and then add, you know, a spoonful of Nutella if you like it, if you're a sweet tooth, or a sauce of some sort, and you have a serving size of it. Prioritize those 2 things instead of focusing on taking out bread, taking out fast food, taking out soda. Have a Coke Zero, or have a Coke Zero during the week, and then on the weekends go and get yourself a real Coke. If you eat fast food every day, try to maybe meal prep on the weekend, a couple lunches, and say Wednesday comes around and you have eaten all of your meal prepped meals, you've been so good, and Wednesday comes around and you're gonna go and get McDonald's for lunch because you deserve a treat. It's all about balance. Tip number 73 billion million. I know you might not feel very confident to step in a gym, or you know, you're gonna go to the gym when you feel confident. Confidence is not just gonna come up on your doorstep and say, hey bestie, I'm here, let's go to the gym. You gotta fake it till you make it. All of the negative thoughts out of your head, get the I'm not deserving thought out of your head, I'm not good enough thought out of my head, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not knowledgeable, I'm not confident. Get it all out of your head because none of it matters. We are all here to better ourselves, and we're all going to battle with our demons every single day. We all have something that we're going through, and health and fitness and taking care of your body is a celebration that you are capable. You can do hard things, you will get through it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below anything that resonated with you in this video, what we have in common, what you went through what I went through that you went through, what we went through together. Same journey, soul sisters, what are we? Let me know. And I will see you guys in my next video. Side note, if you're looking for a trainer, I'm an online trainer. And I offer free online coaching on my fitness app, brookeworksout.app. Plug.
Yeah, hey, please don't make me. Hey, please don't make me shoot this bitch up. I bought bottles to the club, I'm finna juice this bitch up. Oh yeah, I'm ready. Hey, double cup empty, juice got me stuck. I can't party, I can't flex. Nigga, I don't get no fuss, that's why I'm ready. Bitch, call him about some money.